So you can pick up Chris's dance moves on Just Dance 2019. It's a download.
Yeah, it comes with a free complimentary Cordy picture. Not really, but I was so impressed. I totally forgot about that.
I didn't know you did that. That's awesome.
I'm so excited.
Anywho, I'm Lex.
I'm Chris.
And we're going to help you guys performance tune, rockstar your PDQ Deploy and Inventory.
Yep.
So, should we jump in?
Let's do it.
All right. So, first thing, let's just have a quick hardware discussion in regards. Personally, and Brig, I just want to get your chime in on this. I like putting on a VM because then I can ratchet up my CPU and my memory as I need it. But the other thing people really should consider doing if you want it to run fast is SSD. Any thoughts on that?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're going to use some sort of VM hardware, you want it to be SSD just for the IOPS. But yeah, I'm very partial to VM. Putting it on a VM somewhere?
Well, it's easy to ratchet it up and down as you need it. So,
and save it and snapshot it and pack it up, move it away. I mean, it's just everything about VMs are just fantastic.
Yeah, I would agree with
VMs
that.
are magical.
So, okay, basically just the takeaway. We like them on VMs personally. Do them where you want, but SSD is going to make it run faster. Obviously, enough memory to read your databases into memory.
Yeah,
helps out. You speed there, and then multi-thread that thing, give it some processor, and you'll be good to go. So next, and this is kind of universal between inventory and deploy, and that's optimizing your database. Again, it is kind of database intensive, right? I mean, inventory obviously is writing stuff to database. So to do this, you're going to find this in the same spot in inventory and deploy. We'll just go through deploy here, go to options, preferences, and go to database. And right here, optimize database. Okay, quick caveat, got to let you know, if you have deployments running or scans running and you hit optimize database, Chris shows me the...
They're stopping.
It's going to abort them because it's got to go and basically, is it going to run a vacuum? Is that what it runs?
It runs a vacuum. We do that manually too, though. But I love that. I love just vacuum.
I love that command. So if you want to feel like you're vacuuming your database, you can do that command prompt. But
visualize the Dyson, cord list just going, and it cleans things up, fixes it, and you're good. You're optimized, just like that.
So with that optimization, right, it gets rid of like just empty space where stuff used to be.
Yep.
Compresses. What else does it do?
It vacuums.
Well,
it tidies up.
Say no more. It vacuums. So.
Yeah, I don't remember all the specifics, but it's for those who are interested, probably not more than me. I enjoyed SQL. Go look at SQLite's website. Take a look at it. It's pretty fascinating, the commands that you can do from the SQLite prompt. And you'll see vacuum is one of them. You'll see exactly what it does.
So I clicked on the SQLite console. There it is.
Yeah.
And you can run your commands right there. That'll vacuum the database. If you
pretty
want.
easy.
So that okay. And the other big thing about that is, again, this is based off a database, so keep it clean. All right. So the other thing with that, as you move down, is your deployments. Now, again, as your database grows, you're going to need more memory, that kind of thing, to keep it quick. So a lot of times, delete deployments after so many days.
This is a big one. This is a big setting. So one of the things we see, I know I've seen, and I know that I've been guilty of, is thinking, but I want to have all that history because someday, because I'm a pack rat, I want to go look back at the data that I don't care about anymore. So I set that to 0 to collect all the things. And I never get back to it, and suddenly my database is 2, 3, 12, 200 times the size, and...
Absolutely. Your database is going to grow. It's going to get big,
Yep.
And it's going to become cumbersome. I mean, it's like, you got a backpack, and you just keep putting stuff in it till finally you got to put the pack down and clean it out. So a good rule of thumb, and this is also going to depend on how many machines you're deploying to. Are you using the Retry Queue? These kind of things is how much that database is going to fill up. So again, there's no perfect thing for everybody. I mean, the default works pretty good, but fine tune this. You might want to try 15 days. And if you've got like a ton of machines, you might even want to, cut it down to a week. So
right, and it also you can also try and compare this with what hardware you end up putting this on. If it's not a VM and it is a physical hardware and you are limited, adjust it lower is going to be our recommendation because you can actually have better performance. When you switch over to see all your deployments, for example, that screen that shows a list of all the deployments, if you are showing multiple tens of thousands in one view, I mean, it still has to load those into memory every time you're looking at that. So the more you have, the longer it takes to display them. And on weaker spec hardware, it's just going to take more time. So just be aware of the setting.
Absolutely. And fine tuning it. It's like, and I used to race motorcycles, okay? there's general settings you have, and then you've got to tweak your bike or your PDQ Deploy Inventory for the track you're on, the hardware you're on, your environment. So the next thing, scanning. Scan after deployments. Again, we're just trying to make things fast. The standard scan profile, the default, is the standard. And I'm just telling you right now, you don't need to do a full scan every time you deploy something. Just update the applications.
Why would you say that? Just for our folks out there.
Well, it's going to pull computer information.
Okay.
You know, I don't need the same, the memory's generally not going to change, that kind of thing. So let's just go after the things we know we just changed, which is the application. So any thoughts on that?
No, that's exactly what I was kind of, it was a very pointed question. I know that memory doesn't change often, disk size is not going to change very often, partitions usually don't change very often. So why scan them every time when you don't have to?
Yeah.
Applications are usually the most volatile in that sense.
And again, the less time it takes you to scan, the faster your stuff's going to run.
Yeah.
So the other thing, while we're here, offline status, ping before deployment. This is personally my favorite because, if you don't have ping before deployment, we'll try and deploy and wait for a little timeout and then eventually move to the next one.
Yep.
Ping is like, are you there? If it doesn't answer, we move on.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what happens.
Also, your wake on LAN, sending a wake on LAN deployment. Now, a couple of things. One, you got to have your system or your network set up to allow it. You got to have your NIC set up. You got to have your BIOS set up. The reason I bring this up is there is some overhead for this. If you're going to send a wake on LAN, we're going to wait how long before we move on for each wake on LAN?
You asked me like I remember.
I think it's like 5 minutes.
It's,
Brig,
no,
right?
it's like 2 minutes or
It's
something.
up to 2 minutes for the thing to come on?
Maybe it's... Any thoughts? Do you remember?
Hey, it's longer than
4 minutes. Okay, we got 3 answers.
You can split the difference. You're 2, that's
so
5.
We'll go.
I'm
It's
4.
probably around more than 3.5, something like that. Here's the thing. That's time it's going to wait for that thing to wake up. So, again, my suggestion is I use the heartbeat because then when they come online, they can get that.
It's a good one.
And so that would be my suggestion to you, unless you have a compelling reason to wake on LAN. And if you do, use it.
Yeah, if you do, there's nothing quite like Wake on LAN when you actually have it configured properly, especially if you can shut down your machines when you don't need them on. It's fantastic to just turn them on, get your scans, get your deployments, get whatever done that needs to be done, and then shut it back down automatically based off your power settings. It's great. I do want to mention, I think, that the ping for deployment, we do ping, but if your machines are on across the WAN or you have a very slow connection, it still might time out because I think we wait for 2 seconds, is it?
It's 2, yeah.
So if you're longer than that, it'll basically see it as offline.
Once again, here's the fine-tuning part of it. Set it for your network. Good place to look for some time savings.
It's a good one.
So let's just talk about the Retry Queue.
Okay.
I'm going to cough first. So Retry Queue, there's reasons for it, there's reasons not for it, or not for it. Is that a way to say that?
We're going to get our logic right. There's reasons, and you should abide by them.
Yeah, okay, so you kind of understand what I'm getting at, I hope. Briggs just over there laughing. So here's the thing. If you've got inventory, in my mind, and this is my opinion, and I'm hoping you guys chime in, okay? Use the heartbeat setting because, retry is like a brute force method to do it. And if you got inventory, it's much more elegant, and it saves a ton of attempts and database space and that. And
Yeah.
any thoughts?
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree with that. Heartbeat is...
And again, for those of you who don't know what the retry queue is, I'm going to try and deploy Chrome. If the machine's offline, it's going to try again in a certain amount of time for a certain amount of tries. So
think of it like that salesman that won't go away and coming to your door, and you're like, hey, but here I am again. Do you want to buy? Hey, do you want to buy? Hey, do you want to buy? No, I don't. I want to do a heartbeat
is
schedule.
that really how you think of it?
Yes.
Yep. Pretty
That's
much.
how I feel. I like the heartbeat schedule. It's just more elegant because it's just waiting for it to come from offline to online, and boom.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, so in our minds, heartbeat, much better. If you don't have inventory, you should get it.
Oh,
for
yeah.
many reasons. Let's just jump down here into logging. Okay, I love logging. It helps you troubleshoot stuff. Logging does take up space.
Yes, quite a bit.
Okay, and debug takes up
More than that.
a significant amount of space. So just to be aware, guys, these are good things to have checked. Just if you're debugging, don't debug all the time. Debug when you need it is my thought.
Yeah, and that's why we kind of put that little blurb there saying only when you're troubleshooting or directed from our staff here, our solutions team, because it can generate so many entries in log files in our event log that you don't necessarily need, and it's just cluttering up and taking a lot of space, as Lex mentioned. So don't do it unless you have a really good purpose, and don't forget to turn it off.
Absolutely. And remember, once again, keeping your database compact, keeping it clean, keeping it optimized is really going to be a big win for you in regards to performance.
Yeah.
So, well, speaking of performance, should we just jump down and take a look at
do it.
performance? Okay, so performance here. Concurrent targets per deployment. Brig, I love what he sent me the other day. He sent me a thing. He's like, dude, 3,000, 4,000 concurrent deployments is not cool.
Nope, you're going to, that's going to be a bad day.
Bad day.
Or a bad hour.
Bad. It's just going to be bad.
It's usually bad.
Let's just go with bad on that.
You know, yeah, things explode.
Bad. We'll just go with bad on that. Okay, concurrent targets per deployment. So what that means, and I know you guys probably know this, is I'm going to send out Chrome. It will send up to 8 Chrome deployments at one time. Okay. Total concurrent targets is this. I'm going to send out Chrome. I'm going to send out Firefox. It will send up to 8 Chrome and up to 8 Firefox until we reach 32. So you could do 4. So when you're setting this up, again, it is a, what is it? Finesse thing for your network. Okay.
You got to fine tune it.
Fine tune it. But my suggestion to you is make sure your total concurrent targets, one, it has to be greater than your concurrent targets.
In fact, if you try setting it otherwise, you'll get a little error that says, hey, you can't do this.
No can do. And the other thing I would do is make sure your total concurrent targets is, if you've got 4, do it in sections of 4. If it's 8, do it in sections of 8, 16, so on and so forth. So, you can get 8 Chrome and 8 Firefox instead of let's say you set that at like 12, you get 8 Chrome and 4 Firefox or some combination of the other.
Yeah, and just to give an example here, I do want to show that when we're doing the deployment, let's say here we have Google Chrome and Firefox, right? If I deploy to just this machine here, localhost, which by the way, hey, cool tip, you can just use the dot because that's this machine. If I'm deploying to this machine and then I deploy to Firefox with this machine, what's going to happen is it's going to be queued in Firefox, and you might be thinking, oh, I know that. But it's something to keep in mind when you're looking at those preferences for the concurrent targets per deployment, because it does not, the same machine's still going to be queued for those deployments, so it's not going to count towards the total, the concurrent targets for each deployment, just for the first one that it's currently being deployed at. So just be aware. There's a little bit of, maths that you might have to consider.
Maths. Definitely do the maths.
But just be aware.
Maths, it's everywhere.
It is. Look around you.
That is the funniest video. If you get a chance, guys, what's that called? Maths? Anyway, look it up. It's Maths. You'll find it. It's British.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good one.
Moving on. Copy mode. All right. So there's some debate here. Copy, pull, push, pull. I've always been of the opinion if your repository sits on your console, just use it in push mode. Okay. Now, I think we had a discussion the other day where someone was trying to change my mind. Always put them in pull mode, even if it's coming off the console.
I actually tend to be in that.
Okay, so why? I think it was you having the discussion, but why?
So first and foremost, I'm just going to start by saying that the way with just the default where we're using the push is it's adequate for the majority of the time. And usually if I'm doing an install somewhere, I don't care enough to change it because it doesn't affect things that much. But if I am managing hundreds or thousands of machines and I'm having so many deployments, especially on a schedule happen, if I'm just if it's on my console machine and I'm doing my work and doing my thing, I don't want to have to just constantly know there's going to be waves of my own men thrown at things. Again, Futurama quote. For that. Whereas if I do it for pull, I know that even if the repository, I'm speaking very quickly, the repository is on my own machine, as they happen, it's going to send the requests and actually go,
grab the stuff.
I'm going to send the instructions over to the target. The target's going to say, oh, let me go grab that, rather than me having to get all that generated and then push it out. So
okay. Well, the other reason to do a pull is if you're on a file share, and especially, if you want to save time, guys, especially if you've got sites across the LAN, DFS.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's an easy setup. The back end's super complex, but the nice thing is the easy setup, and it works.
Yes, it does.
It just works. Brig, any thoughts on DFS?
Oh, I love DFS.
I love it.
mean, just
do it.
I really do.
Just do it.
Yep. It's just one of those things where, for everything, it just makes life easy. Well, not everything, but I mean, obviously, for files and things like that, your file servers and your certainly your repository.
Yep.
It's great.
It makes it so simple. It really does, and it's not that hard to set up.
Okay, so
in fact, DFS is easy.
Yeah.
So I think you probably pulled me over to the camp here. So pull mode all the time, unless you have a compelling reason not to.
All right, and if you're lazy like me, often you're fine on push typically, but if you have it on a separate instance,
schedules and especially across the one, pull. And then finally on this one we've got Service Manager TCP connection. Now, there's a little bit of debate on really what happens here, okay? I will say we do know this. If you disable it, it disables it for all applications
Yes.
on your machine. I like to disable it because it goes straight in name pipes, is it?
Yeah, it is name.pipes, yeah.
Name.pipes. So it seems faster to me.
It's extremely fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just be aware, there's a caveat. Since this affects machine-wide settings, there's two things. One, it'll affect other applications that might be utilizing this.
Absolutely.
And two, other applications might change it out from, pull the rug out from under you, and you think, but I changed this, but then I changed it back, and now you're in a tug of war. The default setting, the timeout's going to be something like, 21 seconds or something for it to do it. I forget, it's been so long since I've dived into this, but my personal recommendation, and this is, we have some discussion here, because disabling it, I used to do it by default, but now I keep it on, I keep it the default setting, unless I start to have a lot of connection timeouts, and then I start to say, okay, maybe I should change this. But
I'm actually almost wondering if this is an obsolete setting too, because I know that a couple of versions ago we went to named pipes for integration between inventory and deploy. So I'm wondering if that's even if that tunes anything anymore.
Is it the same in central server though? Do we know?
Well, I know the connection
we do know, yeah.
from client to like the service is TCP, but
yeah, it has to be. But we're doing. I think
From
when we're
the
talking about
console
the integration
deployments,
between
it's-
deploy and inventory. I think that is just now utilizing name pipes, unless it's explicitly said use TCP.
Oh, okay.
So just be aware. This is one of those best troubleshooting practices, is what I like to call it.
Yep.
Be aware of the setting and know when you're troubleshooting stuff that this is something that you can do.
Yeah. Should we take a question?
Let's do it.
All right.
Dear Lex and Chris, two-part question. How do you know how much memory to give it so it can load the database into memory? And two, are there any settings needed to utilize multithreading? Sincerely, Ray C.
Hey, Ray.
Hello.
More is better.
I'm going to
that's okay.
Enough.
Enough. More is always better.
No, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule for this.
So you can do this. You can go take a look at the size of your database in both inventory and deploy. And then you got to realize OS is going to take up some memory. So if you add those up, have that amount of memory on your VM be more.
Yeah. Try it. Utilize it. Do you have any thoughts, Brig?
No, yeah. When it comes to memory, just see what your utilization is, and then give it more. Or like Mike mentioned in the chat, just do dynamic memory.
Right, exactly. I mean, this is something. It's kind of like when people start discussing like the swap file, paging file stuff. It's well, what do? Do you let Windows do it? Do you do it yourself? What do you set it to? And you could probably find 10 different sysadmins, and they'll get 10 different answers for this. So try it, see what works for you, and
do the math. Do the math.
And
Always do the math.
just to answer the second part of that question, there's no setting that you need to do for multi-threading. It's already
there.
multi-threaded.
Yep, multi-threaded.
Built in.
Just give it
Comes
more.
built in.
Give it more cores, baby. More cores. More. That's
Within
the answer.
reason.
Give it more.
Within reason, Lex. Reason.
We're weaving those threads
time
into a
out
wonderful
here.
blanket.
Time out here.
Lex.
I want the fastest bike. I want the fastest. I'm going to give it more.
Oh, speaking of which, just a little side note. I'm sorry to kind of hijack this, but so you know how we used to measure like in our VM infrastructure, like things in like gigahertz, like you have to. It's now terahertz.
Oh,
Yeah, we measure our CPU in terahertz,
Terahertz.
now.
Wow, we're a big boy company now. All right.
It's only like 1.1, but still it's a
the fact
terahertz.
we have tilted this. That's awesome.
That megahertz.
Yeah. Remember those days? No,
Yeah.
you don't.
Do you have any other questions, or should we keep going? Another question. Cool.
Dear Lex and Chris, how many simultaneous admin client console connections are recommended? How many is too many? Sincerely, Billy Z.
Billy Z. All of them.
When you're saying admin client connections, I'm assuming, please correct me in the chat here if I'm wrong here, you're talking about if you're in central server mode and you have a client connecting to a server for like client mode of deploy to server mode.
So Chris
deploy.
is using it, I'm using Briggs using it. How many Chris, Lexes, and Briggs can you have hooked up at the same time?
I don't know that there's necessarily a recommended number, and too many, I don't know what the threshold is, whatever your server can handle. If you're just, this being said, I believe server operating systems can handle more simultaneous incoming network connections than a desktop OS can, so just first and foremost, I'd recommend a server OS, but I don't know what that limit is, and I don't know if you're really going to reach it.
I don't know if we've ever tried to reach it yet.
I don't think we have, but
Brig, any thoughts?
A lot of setups.
No.
No
Thoughts.
No, that's a Kobe answer. No.
No.
I love it. No, it's straight to the point there.
Yes, try it. I've seen as many as between 10 and 20 and no problem. So.
Yeah, it's never.
Again, you can balance your hardware. You know, there's kind of that.
I don't know if we've ever even had a ticket where that's been a limitation.
I haven't
I
heard
don't
that
think so.
either. But I would be curious, though, if you're asked this question because you're receiving, like you're having a problem with this because you have, I'm throwing this out there, 1.2 billion client connections, which I'd be surprised because that's also impossible. If you did that and you're having problems, reach out to our solutions team,
it would be interesting to find
supportpdq.com.
out.
I'd love to hear more.
Colby commented on this too, and he said that back at 13 they tested this, and he said it handled quite a few.
Yeah.
And knowing Colby, quite a few was probably several thousand.
Lots and lots.
Yeah,
A lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
he doesn't do hyperbole.
No, I mean this is coming from the gentleman who, when he wanted to test how deep nested packages can go, I think he just off the cuff just built like a couple hundred nested deep package.
Wow.
Like, so it doesn't handle it very well when you nest like 1,000 packages.
Good to know.
Okay. All right, but interesting.
Oh no, he was only able to use all of our computers, not just
Only all of them?
1,000.
Good answer.
I'm going to railroad you guys back to what we're talking
Let's
about.
do it.
All right, so here we go. Repository, guys. The reason I bring this up, see your unused files, clean your unused files. That's
Yay.
really what that is. So what was that, JJ? Center. I would love to center that. Okay. Select all. Delete. Now, the one caveat, I might have deleted somebody's file that they actually were trying to use. So be judicious about it.
My package of corgi pictures being deployed to all the computers now has no files in it. Oh no!
Hopefully I didn't ruin the deploy face-to-face package that we've got here.
Yeah, but we're also pretty smart about that too, because we only do unused packages. So anything that's not attached to an existing package.
There you
so,
go.
Yeah.
So your corgi pictures, unless
Are
you
fine.
deleted the package, they're fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's to that you can also exclude files. Like, so if I wanted to be extra careful and cautious, I could go exclude my files from being deleted if I know I'm just going to create it again. So
Just don't put files you're not going to use in the repository. I mean, unless you're really going to
No time changes. I mean, it's auto
True,
downloads.
True.
And he's coughing. But yeah,
All right, inventory.
yay!
All right, so let's roll through this one.
I love inventory.
You know, it is my favorite. I am of the religion of Brig that inventory is awesome.
It is. It's so
Super awesome. We're going to hit this kind of quick. Active Directory sync. How often should you do it?
Good question. What are your thoughts?
Personally, we don't have a whole lot moving in and out. I mean, when we do, we have a lot hits all at once. So I usually once a day is good enough for me. Now, again, this depends on your network and how often you've got machines coming in. Are you the one adding the machines so you know when they're coming in? If not, I mean, you can do it in minutes if you want. I think that's rather aggressive, but any thoughts, you guys? Again, this is an opinion thing. My opinion, once a day is good enough for me and what I do.
I do it once a week.
Once a week?
Brig?
Yeah, I do like maybe every 4 hours, simply because they're machines that would be moving in and out of different sites and things like that. So it sort of depends on what it is you've got going on. It's not super. There's not a lot of overhead with that, so it's not a big deal until you get into larger organizations, and then it becomes a little bit more significant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, and even more than the actual AD syncing is the delete mode when you're doing the syncs. This can matter, especially if you're syncing this every 4 hours, in Briggs' example here. You might see things changing depending upon the mode you have here, and that might confuse you, infuriate you, or if you're aware of it, it'll just delight you to all
So
stuff.
just again, so you understand delete modes, okay, import only will never delete anything. Okay, you'll have to manually delete it. Okay, mix sync, it'll import from Active Directory, but it won't delete stuff you'll have to delete there. Did I say that right?
Say it again.
No, that's right. Yeah. So it'll do a sync, and if you add things into it, it will not delete those things
will
that
not-
you've added in manually.
Okay.
Correct, as long as it wasn't brought in from the sync.
Yep.
Okay. It'll take care of your sync, but the manual stuff won't touch.
Correct.
And the full sync, delete computers, Active Directory is king there.
Yes.
So if it's in Active Directory, it'll be in inventory. If it's not, it's...
Right, so in the case here, I'm using the 4-hour window because it's really easy for conceptualization here. But if we have a 4-hour sync and you sync it and you have 1,000 computers and I go in and add manually 5 computers, when it syncs next time, those 5 will be kicked out and removed from the console.
Yep.
And I'm assuming because they're not part of Active Directory sync. So,
Yeah. So that's kind of can be a danger setting.
yes.
Yeah, especially if you.
It can catch you if you do network discovery. I did this live one time. We did a network discovery.
Oh, yeah.
And the sync ran like 2 minutes after I did. I'm like, I swear I ran it. So yeah. So just be aware of that.
Yep. Also, just be aware, we don't touch anything in Active Directory. We're just pulling in the data.
Read only, yeah.
So even if it gets deleted from the console here, or you manually delete the machine from your interface, it does not change anything in your Active Directory setup.
Absolutely. Again, just to touch database, there it is in inventory, optimized. It will stop your scans.
Yep.
Okay. Logging, same thing here. Debug, use it when you need it.
Yep.
Any thoughts? I mean, all right. This is really this one will get you if you've got a really big network. It's your heartbeat. Okay. Now, 300 seconds. If I do my math correctly, that's
5 minutes.
5 minutes. So, and how long do we wait for a ping to generally return?
2 seconds.
Up to 2 seconds. So we start doing some math there. Let's say worst case scenario. Okay. Oh man, this is gonna be horrible. I'll show you how bad my math is. I am calculator dependent, by the way.
Live math by
Live
legs.
Maths. So if you got 1,000 machines, and let's say each of those take 1 second. Okay. Let's say, we'll just kind of split the difference there. You're gonna restart your pings before it finishes the initial ping run. Right? Did I do the math? The math's right there.
Probably. I mean, it's going to take over 50 minutes for it to actually go through them.
So, as you're, and it doesn't take that long. Generally, most machines answer pretty quick. Okay, but when you start getting into 2,000 and 3,000 and greater, you're definitely going to want to change this. You're going to want to extend that so that you don't have this constant ping running from your machine to go see if machines are on. Ultimately, do the math. I mean,
Try it.
try it.
The worst that happens is you notice that you're constantly doing heartbeats, and then bump it up. Bump it up a minute, 2, 10. I mean, try something. The biggest thing that you're going to see heartbeats affect is if, like, say you're doing a heartbeat interval for scanning or for something, for some sort of schedule. That's really the biggest thing that's going to affect it. So
if you extend that, machine comes online. Let's say it comes online just after the last heartbeat. It'll wait the now longer time, register it's on, and then they'll get their scheduled heartbeat point. So, again, fine tune that, guys. That's Kentucky windage.
Yes.
See which way
try it.
the grass grows or flies in the wind, right?
Grows in the wind.
Did I say grows in the wind?
You started saying
Flies
that
in the
was
wind.
funny.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Kentucky windage.
I laugh.
You know what? All right.
Yes.
Abuse me. Okay. PDQ deploy and inventory. I bring this up because, guys, again, your database, clean your deployments older than. Okay? It's nice to know that things have been deployed, but how long do you really need to know?
Yep, and where we're talking about, so when you have an item in inventory and you pull up this computer details window here, it's the section here for deployments.
Yep.
It keeps a history of all that, is what we're talking about.
So how long do you want to keep that history?
Yep.
Again, database compact, you got thousands of machines and they've all got hundreds of deployments. It adds up. So
Yep.
again, just find your sweet spot.
Yes. And try to kind of line it up if you can with the deploy, like cleaning up the history from deploy. Not directly line up, because notice here 180 days is far more than the 30 days we had set for deploy, but just be aware that the data will last longer in inventory than you're going to be doing in inventory or in deploy. Excuse me.
Absolutely. Performance. Okay. The biggest thing here, computer scan timeout, WMI timeout. I think those are pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the concurrent scans. How many scans can I do at the same time?
2,000. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
I'm looking
not
at Brick.
do that, yeah.
3,000 scans. This takes up memory. It does take up CPU. So again,
And it also depends on the scan.
oh, that is true.
Yep.
Depends
So
on
an
that.
application scanner obviously is going to take a lot less time than a standard scan.
Yes.
Yep. And a WMI scanner can take a while.
File scanner can take a while. Registry scanner
Yeah.
can take a while, depending on what your settings are. Change it. Try it. Most machines that I've noticed, we do the default pretty conservative at 32 scans. I almost immediately bump that to 48 or 64 without even batting an eye, and I'd have a wonderful time.
Do you bump it to 64? I mean, like in sections of 8, like,
I do just out of habit of other things. Sections
out
of
of
8
just
or
being a
16.
sysadmin nerd and everything goes 8, 16, 32,
Yeah, but
64.
That
128.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can set it to 70 and be fine. Or 77. Oh.
No, you
77
can't.
is
No.
verboten.
Again, here, TCP/IP connection is the same as it is in inventory. Just remember, it affects the whole machine there.
Yeah.
So,
Which means both applications incidentally. So if you have it default and
one.
then go to disable the other, it affects both of them.
So, yeah. Offline status, ping before scanning. Again, I would tag that one and remember your overhead on your Wake on LAN.
Yep.
Again, that's the same. Auto cleanup of your entries.
Yep. Scan log entries. This will just clean them up after 14 days. Yay.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Brig?
Oh, no. Yeah, I agree with that. I kind of wanted to interject here with two other performance things that we didn't cover that actually Marcel brought up earlier on in the webcast, which was, hey, make sure that you exclude your folders from antivirus. So in the bonus content, I have included RKB on recommended antivirus, anti-malware exclusions for PDQ. And then I also, because we were talking about this yesterday, about CPU utilization and then PDQ animation tuning, where you can turn off the animations, the swirly-doos and everything else. Yeah. Now, this will freak you out because it did with me when I turned them off. I'm like, is my computer, is it doing anything? Because all animations are stopped. So I'm like, I don't know if it's working.
This is just for PDQ, the animations.
Yeah, just the animations for PDQ. And I also included that in the bonus content. And it's just some registry settings that you can change. Play around with those, see if that makes a difference, especially if you're experiencing any sort of like CPU utilization issues, or if it's just performance seems to be dragging a little bit. Try those as well. Probably less on VMs, I don't know, and more on like actual hardware, but I think it should work on both. But anyway, yeah, that's just a couple of things in there I wanted to throw out before.
Good to know.
Okay, thank you.
Good observation.
And then one other thing, just to mention, guys, laps as a way of using your credentials. Briggs over there, if he had pom-poms, he's like, go team,
I
go.
love laps.
Okay. It's a great way to get over a lot of problems there in regards to credentials. And that I blew this away the other day, so I didn't reset up laps. But
I think I tried doing too many things at once here, so it kind of like hiccuped there for a second. But here we go.
So setting up your laps, credentials right there. The nice thing about that, takes care of your work group machines. It can take care of your domain machines. It can
just, if you've used laps, this is how you set it up. If you don't use laps, use laps.
Yeah.
Great videos on it on how to do that. But again, this can help
wrote a
streamline.
blog post on it.
Yeah, I think it's either a blog post or KB or both.
Yeah.
Probably both.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Help streamline. Do we want going to do a speed round? Questions. All right, we got a minute to answer each
Can I be
question.
involved in the speed round too?
You should be. Come on up, man.
Okay,
Come on
right.
up.
Okay.
Come hither.
All right.
Young
speed
bird.
round.
Dear Lex, Chris, and soon-to-be Brig, time for the speed round. Multi-site deployments using DFS and Pull mode. Deployments are slow over high-latency VPN connections. File copies are fast using the DFS-R local to the workstation. Just the installation step slow. Any ideas to make that perform better? Sincerely, Donald I.
First and foremost, my first thought, sorry, I'm going to jump in here.
Have at it.
If the installation steps are slow, what part is it slow? Is it the copying of the file or the actual installation itself? Because if it's the installation itself, that has nothing to do with...
Yeah, the
It's
file.
once you're on.
That's all.
That's all on that machine. So you can just have like underpowered hardware. It's doing the install on.
Yeah, because we copy first and then we install, so it wouldn't be that.
Because it
Again, DFS. You know.
says file copies are fast. I'm assuming that means during the install step.
I'm also wondering too, like if the deployments are slow over high latency VPN connections, I'm wondering if that might be the information that's coming back to us, even though that's small, is just there's some
It's
delay
taking a
there.
little time.
That would be weird though, because it's not. We don't send back.
Not much at
Small.
all. It's
Yeah.
so. I mean, I'm not sure.
I would say, Don, take a look at where that's happening. If it is again slow at the install step, that's at the local machine level.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would be interested to know to clarify if it is when it's during the copying, because it shows copying the file over during the install step. If that's when it's slow, or if it's during the my installing status takes forever, because that will make a difference on kind of how you might want to approach this. Because if you have local DFS set up to have it point from local
Your
stuff.
time's up, baby.
Okay.
Your minute's up.
I'll just talk really fast.
Really
Okay.
fast. All right, next question.
Dear Chris, Brig, and Lex, can the log files be set to delete after a certain time? Sincerely, Jason A.
Scheduled tasks. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be the best way.
Not within natively
With
the
the
program. No. That was awkward. Not natively within the program. There we go.
That was a quick answer, Chris.
Made up for time.
Wow. All right. They're not even ready for the next question. You answered that one that fast.
Dear gentlemen, are there other considerations for performance tuning depending on if you are using the agent or not? Any considerations for turning on the endpoints with an agent installed? Sincerely, Ray C.
I have thoughts. If anybody wants to go first, they're welcome to, but I always have thoughts.
I've got comments.
Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead. You hit it.
Do it in groups as you're expanding to more and more tests with agents on machines. Agent's still a relatively new feature. We're still building up on it and trying to make optimizations to it. So if you're trying to put it on 10,000 endpoints, I'd recommend starting low and kind of building up to that to see what realistically your environment's supporting well.
Eventually, you're going to hit that point where your console will slow down, and that's when you're right at that cusp. And again, that could be the hardware your console's running on, so you can bump that hardware if it's a VM.
And Ray, to answer the second part of that question, there's really nothing that needs to be done on the end node where the agent is actually installed to increase the performance on that. It's pretty lightweight on that end.
Yeah, and final note also, again, final post script here. If it's external, you're going to have to be a little more heavy-handed with doing things. If it's internal agents, you can probably have a lot more without problems. We've scaled it up pretty well.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, when we set the Active Directory sync, do you recommend listing all AD servers in the sync list? Sincerely, James, don't call me Jimmy, M.
I'm just going to have to say Jimmy just because of...
One's sufficient. You only need the one Active Directory server in there. In fact, actually, I should just pull the server that is your logon server for that particular console. If you're talking about like a forest or a parent and child domains, subdomains, you can add those in just as the domain. You necessarily have to point that to a particular server.
Right, and then within those domains, you can actually include or exclude specific parts of that domain. So just be aware, you might want to, even if you want all domains in a forest, for example, you might not want everything because you might not, for whatever reason, just be aware. Settings there.
And our final speed round question. I use mixed sync so things don't get deleted. Is there any way to get a list of things that don't match up with AD so I can manually review them and delete them if they should be? Thanks, Tyson B.
All right, Tyson. So this will help you. Basically, you're going to go and you edit your columns, and you're going to add added from.
Can we show the screen?
Yeah. Added from. I'm just going to go do it as a fixed field, so it comes right up to the front. You'll notice this has all been added from AD sync except for that guy right there. I guess that's default machine.
I think we just show them how to get there again.
Once again, click in the corner here, and then I selected added from right here. And then, again, you can sort by this column, and everything we got is added from AD sync.
In fact, you can even group by that column and say everything, like really easy, collapsible, and voila.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's added from default? What's
That would be...
That's when you first install a machine, it's that the console itself gets added automatically.
Yeah.
Woo!
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to go find out where they're coming from, and probably a pretty reasonable way to clean that up.
Cool.
Well, guys, tuning, it's it's art, not a science.
It's better than wanting. Sorry.
Oh man, that was
Of course.
Wow. End on that. That's a horrible.
That was
note.
great.
It's
perfect. It's classic, Chris.
It's classic,
perfect.
Chris.
Yep.
Again, guys, try it. Adjust it again. Tune it for your racetrack. Tune it for your network.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What works for me is not going to necessarily work for you, but those are all the places you need to go and fiddle.
Yeah.
So
Lots of things to do.
absolutely. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right. Thanks.
Watching. Yeah.
Thanks for enduring our webcast today. Congratulations, Ray C. and Donald I., winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to our support forums. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.